Good afternoon, everyone. And I was trying to summarize the different sessions we went through since morning, roughly about 4. And I was trying to see what's that one word that recaps all of them. I think provocation to begin with, lots of wisdom in the panel about how you scale, how you kind of start off and engage with the VCs. The next one was about trust. The last one by Mahesh was about pragmatism and how do you scale and focus on the right ingredients, right? And if I may indulge in my next 20 minutes, a bit of technology, and I was given a tough topic about the future. And it's a little tough because anybody could crystal gaze in these days, right? So let me start with a bit of a story about myself, about my entrepreneurship. And it is a failed one. And 2 big brands to begin with in my career, then 2 startups where I felt a rush of blood and I said it's not scaling fast enough, so started on my own. Probably the timing wasn't right, or actually what I think in hindsight is what I was looking for probably was a perfect storm. Perfect storm in terms of the right era, I mean where the market as well as the technology enables you to take your product to fruition and you get your business plan working for you. And obviously the right stimulus in the market, given all that's happening around the globe and uncertainty and the VUCA, but still I think it's a fantastic and fascinating time to be in India and start off and be practical about how you want to scale. So I would like to focus and argue a bit about that the future is already here and how we think all the technologies around, and some of it I can talk about, some of it I'm not even equipped to talk about, but still there is something fundamental that is central to the whole transformation that we see, be in business to business world or the business to consumer world, and that's something I would like to bring about as a talk and probably showcase a bit of some of the startups that we engaged with, some of the powerful SMEs that we have engaged, whose ideas we have seen transform from growth stage to actually big market success. All right, so that's going to be the theme of my presentation. So if you just think, take a minute back and think, who am I representing? And we ourselves as a bunch of complicated, how we evolved, right? So you think we are a company of Zuzus or Zuzus in suits. We are actually a blend of a mobility company or one of the largest retailers that you see in the market in terms of the square foot area that we have through our direct retail and franchises. A big bank by ourselves, one of the largest wallets in the market, or a global B2B company, or a outsourcing and offshoring company that we have in Pune and some of the other places around India. So the viewpoint that we are taking out here is it's not purely a telecom viewpoint, but actually having run enterprises, scaled businesses internally from nowhere to large businesses. And that's a viewpoint that basically argues that the future is already here. So you talk about any technology like artificial intelligence or virtual reality, Internet of Everything. I myself have seen it transform from what was called as a machine to machine to IoT and Internet of Everything. I think the technology buzz is going to kill us, right? So, and obviously you talk about drones and how they could be practically used to solve day-to-day problems. So for example, we have delivered a fantastic iPhone 7 in New Zealand and Germany by drones, but that's not the point. The point is that these technologies are meant to solve some basic problems. So they make you either operationally efficient or they make the workforce which is out there in the field to be very effective. And how do they use all the smart gadgets to basically derive those basic efficiencies? Otherwise, these remain hype and they go through the hype and crests and troughs. So the argument here is that I think fundamentally these technologies are available with us. Some of us have found applications, some of us haven't. So the idea is that how do you find the solutions which actually ask you to kind of solve the basic problems in the market, but through the right partnerships and right way to take the solution to the market. And obviously we can talk about devices which are like 20 billion connected devices. Everything that you talk about, have in your hand, at home, are connected, right? So if that's at the core, but there is something fundamentally missing in all of this. Otherwise they are like good hype and you can actually find an idea and you say that I'm going to use artificial intelligence or augmented reality. But we think fundamentally we have to think about putting someone at the center. And that someone at the center is a human. It could be employees in your company. It could be your end customer. If you don't have that at the center of the design, I think fundamentally something is going to miss. So if you haven't solved a problem that is around a human or some of the problems that, for example, a workforce has, basically doing a drudgery task of actually coming back to the office and filling at a desktop because he or she is not equipped on the field to do some of those basic details like end of day collections or what is the claims that they have to do on the travel expenses, fundamentally you're not empowered or leverage the power of technology. So the picture you see is about a lady who is actually an office assistant in the office back in Mumbai. And when we asked her name is Satya, and we asked her what is her ambition. And she says she has actually a school-going son, and she says, I want my son to grow up and kind of find a company or found a company and create employment. So the essence is that I think that's a human aspect about starting up or using the technology to solve the problems. So I don't know if you're able to see. So when you actually talk about SMEs and startups, finally I think they are like about 50 million in the last count based on the census or any of the reports that you see. But how do we as Vodafone actually try to engage with you? Because that's a problem is about kind of the SMEs or startups spread across India, regional, geographically very, very tough lands to go and engage with. So the first thing that we think about is a channel. It could be digital or traditional channels where we come and engage with you and find answers to some of the problems that you have or the business requirements that you have in your small or the large idea. Second is obviously, how do you service these companies that are our customers? So it's virtually impossible to actually have a human touch to every aspect, but obviously the desire is there. But how do you use the technologies like an assisted care, using the bots and stuff to actually give a near 24/7 reliable service? So that's something, that's a place where we use some of the technologies that I showed about. And lastly, it's about how do you design products that are actually meant to give the benefits for SMEs and startups. So again, keeping in mind that employees today use gadgets, be it tablets or smartphones, the connectivity is everywhere. And if they are not in the four walls of the office, they're essentially becoming the endpoints, but not in the office. So that means that actually they're distributed everywhere. You don't have to kind of imagine that the teams are going to be sitting in the office, and actually that's called the office. The office is pretty much everywhere. So if the employees are the endpoints, how do you create and offer products and solutions that are actually meant to give you the advantage of using the power of technology? So a quick snapshot about, I'm not going to spend too much time, and I think some of it you will see in our booth out there. The fundamental point is some of the products are meant for you to engage with your customers. So especially on the digital platforms like the smartphones, or if you want to build an engagement with them on a nice campaigns, we've got a slew of products out there. If you're thinking about employee engagement and putting the trust and the power into the endpoints, so some of the applications which work brilliantly, stuff like workforce management, or using productivity solutions that come from large partners like Google or Microsoft, doesn't matter. But at the end, if you have designed that these employees need to be empowered in the field, you got to take a leap and say that, okay, let me take these solutions from the cloud. Don't worry about the security. There are enough means and ways to be secure and trusted about. And this is something very close to my heart, is about operational agility. So a fantastic area of technologies and solutions, especially around the Internet of Things. And I will share about one or two success stories that we have found. And I'll also share a bit about how we started engaging and having conversations with them. So Internet of Things to me is a big opportunity where it can cut across any business area that you have. But essentially, it should deliver the operational benefits. So one interesting case study, and I will skip this slide. This is just a product portfolio. Is India is a strange market, right? So if you look at either a problem or you define it as an opportunity, there are 65 million diabetic patients in the market. And one of the traditional way of solving the problem is someone takes a test in their glucometers, goes and submits a reading to a nearby clinic, and you actually take the report out and go and consult a doctor. But what if you actually, then you are actually having a device which doesn't talk to anything. You actually have a clinic which actually only serves the purpose of getting a formal report, and you got actually a doctor for whom you have to take an appointment and go.